this is 4, this is minute to 4, every clock is different.
So when we create new tasks, we have to always add you, right? As a mentee? Or
No, never. No, don't dare. Don't even joke.
Okay.
Add me. I'll add you to all my emails.
No.
See what
No,
happens.
thank
Aha!
you.
And last 5, 4, 3, 2, Happy New Year. Welcome, guys, to season 6 of our lesson courses, or whatever it is. As I said, we are switching to lessons, so this week I wanted to do version control, and whatever I wanted to do originally, we are going to do next week. So there you go. Now, it's very important to understand concepts and understand things, okay? I don't want you to learn rules, I don't want you to learn syntax, I don't want you to do any of that, I want you to understand stuff, okay? And why am I talking about this understanding? Why is it important? Well, my father is still working, but he was born in 1930s, something like that, so he's old as hell. And nobody wants to work with him anymore because he's too old, and all his friends are dead and stuff like that. But he still wants to work, so he decides to write a book. But he is writing a book old-fashioned way. Okay, he knows how to write a book in the 60s. Okay, not in with Word and all that sort of stuff. So he knows his typewriter, and then he's like, okay, if I want to make a table, and he has lots of tables, he's a mechanical engineer, so it's all about tables. He would type space, 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 and then, dash, 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 and he would create a really nice table, brilliant. But he does it like that in Word as well, so when you see his tables in Word, you want to shoot yourself, okay? And then he finds some poor victim to fix that for him, and this poor victim makes it worse, because what the poor victim does, he fixes the table, but then puts it in PDF as a picture. And then my father spots an error, he needs to fix one number, and then he calls me, and then he says, Andre, I want to fix this, show me. And then he's in PDF, well, you can't edit PDF because you don't have editor, but can I put it in Word? Yes, but it's a picture, you can't edit that. But he has no idea about any of this, how it works. It's all confusing. He thinks Google is internet. He thinks Google has his email addresses and stuff like that, which it doesn't. He has, everything is Google, there's no anything else. He doesn't understand the Skype is on internet as well, so it knows how to use the computer, but it doesn't understand what is the concept of program, what is the concept of this, and I have to explain it again and again and again, but the concept doesn't go in, okay? That's the problem, okay? So, yeah, so it's always fun. Every week he calls me with a new problem to solve, and I'm like, yeah, bring it on. So the concept of version control is what I'm going to try to explain to you today, okay? So if we look at this brilliant diagram, you will find that lots of people try to explain what is version control using diagrams like this, okay? And I tried to learn from diagrams like this, but it never made any sense to me. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I have a code on my computer which pink ball or whatever is my code and what, you know. And you can type any text after this, I still can't, you know, this is not my code. I don't understand what is going on. So I'm not going to do explanation of version control using these diagrams. I'm going to try to explain it to you guys in a way that I understand it, okay? But it is hard to understand every little thing about this because it's very old technology with some old concepts, okay? It's really good, it's really powerful, but it's old, okay? One thing what isn't very clear is naming, okay? So naming is confusing as hell, okay? So, what's a version control? Well, I have versions of my files. So I create a file, some page on my browser, and that's version 1. And then I make a change, that's version 2. And I make a change, that's version 3. Okay? So, if I am supposed to go back from version 3 to version 2, what I could do is save all these files, my page v1, my page v2, my page v3, which is some sort of version control, but it's very stupid, okay? Because if I just change one letter, oh, well, that's version 4. But I have to copy the whole page again and again and again. But then if I rename my pages version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, every time when I rename it, I also have to rename thing which refers to it, which wouldn't work. So I can't call that version 1, 2, 3, 4. I have to call it my page.html all the time. But how do I know which version is the latest one? How do I know which version was the one that had pink letters instead of green letters? It's becoming quite problematic, okay? And then very quickly I can have thousands and thousands of duplicates of the code, so this is not how Git and similar version control software like SVN and so on work, okay? So when you have original file, all right, and when you make a change, this thing just says, this is what changed. So it just records the change. And then records the change and records another change, so it doesn't make a copy of file again and again and again. So it's always the same one file with number of changes to it, okay? So much smaller in size, of course, if we do that, okay? So the second problem that we have is with version control is not that I just want to go back and forth, okay? I want to have three things. I want to have central repository, okay, where my code is, okay, that all the team shares. So that's a central repository. That's where the code is. But then I have my local machine, so my code needs to be on the local machine. And if I have 3 developers, well, each one of them has to have that code. But then I also publish that code on the real website, so I need to put the code over there. So those are the 3 places, okay, where code might be, okay? And each one of them might have, and it does have, a different version of the code. So code on your machine, code on your machine, code on the repository, code over there is not the same version. And it doesn't have to be the same version. Okay? So how do we manage these multiple places where some sort of version of our code is? That's what this version control helps us to do, okay? So we can have multiple machines, multiple people, and multiple versions of this code. Okay? So that's all good. Okay? How do I use it? How do I use this? Okay? Well, what I'm going to show you, and I just open a random what's called website. I looked for the cheat codes, like give me cheat sheet with all the most common commands of Git. Okay, and you can see this Git is a command line command. Okay, which you can install, and you can install it on PC, you can install it on Macintosh or Linux. Okay, so it's just like any other command, like ls or I don't know, cd or sudo or apt install or whatever you are using. It's one of those. Okay, so you add it to the system, and then you can use it, you know, with various switches, etc. What you can also do is install some software which will give you graphical interface. Okay, so it looks prettier and it's easier to manage. Okay, you can do that. And the last thing is it's very nicely integrated in Visual Studio Code. Okay, because we are going to use Visual Studio Code, I'm going to show you these commands in Visual Studio Code. But that Visual Studio Code and any other application is actually calling exactly these commands that you can type in terminal. Okay, so I'm going to use this to remind myself not to miss anything important, you know, but I'm actually going to show you how you do this inside your Visual Studio Code. Okay, but again, I need to explain the concepts. Okay, so funny thing is that on this list, you know, I would put git clone or git init as a first. Okay, but I'm sure that there is a clone at some point here when I scroll later, but you know, that's typically how people start with the with Git. So when I look at this AI Siha folder, okay, this is my code, okay, and if I go to Blender or my admin, this is my code, okay. Now, what we have to understand is that if I go actually to these sites and I open this AI Siha, and I think it's this shortcut to show the hidden folders, you can see that I have quite a few of those hidden ones that are not shown inside of Visual Studio Code. And one of them is .git folder, okay? So this one is quite important, okay? So if I have a code or folder or anything that's, you know, bunch of files that I want to control with Git, okay? I typically type git init to initialize this first version, okay? So then this Git application will say, okay, I'm in this folder, so I will monitor these files, okay? Everything what's in this folder and all the folders inside. I will not look outside of these, okay? So it's not going to look at folders above it, it just looks at the folder where it is and below, which makes perfect sense. So what we have here is that if I go back to sites, is this blah, 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 sites, okay? So see, you might have inside of your, if you are on Ubuntu or in your HTML folder, if you are Mac, it will be sites folder, doesn't matter. You might have .git here, okay, which is for this folder and all the folders inside, which is my admin and iCIHA and so on, okay? Now this sometimes confuses the hell out of Visual Studio Code. How can you have this .git folder in HTML and then inside of MyAdmin you have another .git folder, okay? So it gets confused. So if you do not see all your folders here, AICIHA, MyAdmin, and whatever you installed, helped, I don't know. If you don't see multiple applications, that it means it got confused and you need to delete this folder .git from the root of your sites, okay, from HTML. So don't delete the one which is inside MyAdmin, don't delete this one, don't delete one which is inside AICIHA, just delete the one which is inside the root if it's confused, if this doesn't work, because that is a known bug to me. And then close and reopen Visual Studio Code, and then you should be able to see each one individually on this third tab, which is source control, okay? So now, if I put git in it, initialize the git, it will kind of like take a snapshot what is there, okay? What's the initial version, okay? If I don't have files, if the files are on a remote repository, I can type the command git clone. Clone those files to my computer. So what it does, it really downloads the files to my computer, but also makes this init initialization, so it creates .git folder, and it has all the information about not just initial state, but all the updates that were performed to those files ever. So you don't have to create .git folder, this hidden folder. It's created automatically either by initialization, so you initialize it on your local machine, or you pull the code remotely, clone it, and then it will create it automatically for you and it will be there. All right? Now, there are multiple extensions that we have in Visual Studio Code for everything. And there is one for Git, okay? And the one that I installed for Git is called Git Lens. So I go to extension and I type Git, and Git Lens is going to be one of the top choices, okay? Now it's an interesting one, okay? Because as I said, Visual Studio Code is really good with this, but if I have Git Lens, it gives me a little bit additional stuff. So see, if I click here, it says in this file that in this little gray text, 7 days ago, crude lesson. So it knows every single line, who typed it, what version, when it was done, and so on, which is very useful. So if I open another file, let's say home, and click here, this was done by Ahmed 11 months ago, and this was his first commit. So this was his initial version, so he had this since day one, okay? And then I can see that this drop zone stuff, first commit, same thing, okay? Suggestions play, what is this one? I click there, crude lesson, so that was me, okay? Get results, I don't know. Curl API in progress. So he was doing something, he was making API for something, and this was his progress. So I got very good impression who did it, when they did it, and what they were doing with this. Okay? So this is this Git lens. Okay, so this information is available anyway. Git lens doesn't invent this. It's just that Visual Studio Code by itself doesn't display this information like that. So I thought it was quite useful. So once I get the code from remote server by cloning it, okay, that's our typical journey. So this is the repository of AIC, okay? And in this repository, I can see every single change. All right? So you can see here the 7 days ago, me made a change which is called crude lesson. This is the change of those files that I was showing you last week. But I asked Thomas earlier today just to make one little change for since then, okay? So I can show you something, okay? So you can see Thomas made the change since then, okay? And it's interesting, you know, that here I can say diff, okay? What is the difference? And this web browser, but I can also do this in VS Code, is showing me what has changed in this version. So see, I changed the word development to production, I changed this key, and debug I changed there, okay? So this is what has been changed in each version. If it's a bigger push, it will have multiple files. So let me look into this one. So it has 2 changes. It has 2 files. So he changed this controller, he changed this web roots, and this is the changes that he added in this version, okay? So that's very, very useful, so I can see what he has done in every stage. That's this timeline, okay? So for each file, here I can see this is a timeline, so this file was touched 6 days ago and 2 weeks ago, and I can see here what are the changes, if there are any. Okay, so first this file was empty, didn't exist, and then I added all this text, okay? And then in this lesson, this console log, which was just example, I deleted. So I can see, that was some code before, now I deleted it. Okay, so this keeps track of every single change to every single file done by every single person. And it's doing it really quickly. It's not going to, you know, I have hundreds of thousands of files on this computer here, and just doing it like this. Okay, so very, very powerful. You kind of almost never wait for Git to finish anything, it just happens. So far, so good. So we know what the hell it is for. But this is where it gets confusing. Let's say I make a change on one file. Now that's a change on my local machine. All right? What I have to do periodically, okay, when I achieve certain milestone, I don't do it after every single change. I will change one letter and I do this. No, when I finish my task, typically, okay, I commit my changes. Okay, so there's a word commit. But when we say commit, I commit my love to you, you know. It's not that kind of commitment, okay? So it's like I'm taking a snapshot on my local computer. So when I commit changes, I take a snapshot. So I have the version which is on my computer right now, and then I make some changes, and then I say commit. So now I have a different like snapshot. So I moved from here to there. Okay? But that's still on my computer. And I can continue after that to make changes and make another snapshot. It's still on my computer. Okay, I commit and I commit. When you commit, you have to put the message. And this message is extremely important. Because when I read the message, I need to know what is going on. You know, and if I go back to this fixed article, Andrea, well done. What did I fix? This is all about articles. This whole ISE has article after article. I fixed article. Well, very descriptive. Okay, test username. What sort of test, you know? So see, when I'm lazy, I will get stupid names, and then later on I will not know what the hell I was doing, you know. So just like we were talking about before about commenting, it's very important to sit and wait 1 second and think of how do I describe what I've just committed here. Okay? But as I said, just because you committed it, it doesn't go to the central repository. It's just a snapshot on your computer. Okay? And I can have multiple snapshots. When I'm happy that all my snapshots are done, that I tested everything, that everything is working how it should be, then I do a git push. I push my changes to the server. What is going to happen is it's going to use all the commits that I created since the last time I pushed, or if it was never from the time I cloned this, and it will update the server. Okay? So now on the repository, it will have my version as the top version. But Thomas, who is also working on a project, will not have those changes on his computer. He has the old version now. He had the newest version yesterday, but now I made it another one. So he has old version. So Thomas needs to pull from the server all the changes. So he needs to update his code all the time. Okay, he needs to update his code all the time, you know, because if he doesn't, well, he's asking for trouble. Okay, so there is a push, so I push my commits. And commits are snapshots of all the changes that I made since the last time. And then, if I want to update from everybody else, I do pull. So this is how developers, 2 developers with the repository, or 5 developers with the repository, kind of update each other. Okay? Whoever makes the changes pushes, and everybody pulls. And the production machine where our website is just like a developer machine. So I can do git pull on that machine, and it will pull the latest changes and update the code. Okay? So far, so good, so clear? Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes?
When we make commits on our local machine, can we return the previous commits?
Can we return if we make changes? Yes.
And also this push-pull. So what is the procedure? For example, at the end of the day, everyone push it, and in the beginning of the next day, everyone pull it. Right?
So I'm going to explain exactly what the procedure is. So it's not at the end of the day you push everything and at the morning you pull all the changes. That's not how it works. Okay, we don't have to do it daily as you know, our routine. Okay. So the basic concept is init. If I am creating the project from scratch, I do init. Okay, but that's only one person who creates it. Everybody else clones that project to get it on their computer. When you make a changes, you do commit, one or more. When you are happy with your changes, you push them, and then hopefully you hope that some people will pull those changes to their computer. Okay? So this is the basics. Okay, I will go now a little bit in more details about this stuff, okay, because I skipped few parts. All right? So let me go to this little cheat sheet, okay? If you are using GitHub, which most of us do quite often, okay, typically you can pull and clone for free, okay? Sometimes you don't have to have an account. You can just say clone this and they allow you to do that, okay? Sometimes you need to be registered. But if you want to push, well, you need to have a permission to push. And you have to have your credentials, emails, and stuff like that, okay? It's not going to allow you even to commit without who the hell is committing. So it needs to identify you, okay? So when I type git commit or git push or click on a button which does the same thing, it's going to ask me, what's your username? What's your password? And it still might reject me because I might not have permission to push stuff on the server. So if I put my code on a GitHub, it asks me, hey, do you want you know, everybody to push changes to your code? No. I don't know. I don't trust people on the internet. You know, they're just going to write penis, 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 and this developer is dumb, dumb, dumb. You know, I don't want that. Okay, so I will only allow people who I trust to push. I can also restrict it so you can't even pull it or see this code if I want to. So you have to be logged in and part of repository. So if you cannot clone one of these AI Sikha apps and so on, probably it means that I need to add you to some repository and create your username and password, okay? But it's so boring to type this username and password again and again and again, okay? So there is a command line, and this is, you just copy paste this into your terminal. This saves your username. But this is your, not username, this is actually your name. Again, as I said, there are lots of things which are called stupidly in here. So in my case, it's going to be Andre Fabris, not my username, A Fabris, okay? So then I put my Git user email, so the email that I use to register, so it can be andrefabris@google.com. Okay, and this saves it, so it doesn't ask me every single time when I make a commit, okay? And then you can also cache your password, okay? So when you type this command, nothing happens. But next time, when you commit or push, it asks you for the password, and that password that you enter, then it saves it, and then the time after that, it doesn't ask you anymore. Okay? So this one is a bit weird. So I typically test it straight away, you know, make a couple of commits, and then I see it save my password, so I don't have to type it every bloody time when I make a change. It's so annoying to do. So these three are very important. On Mac, it saves this in some Mac version of password keeper thingy, I don't know. So it might pop up with some additional authorizations. And same thing, Windows has its own credential manager thing. So it might pop up and say, hey, I want to sure to add. Yes, that's fine. You just add that when it asks you. Okay? So very useful, those three things. You use them once and then forget about it. You never have to use it again until you reinstall the software. Okay? Get status is quite useful when I want to check what's going on with my project. So if I type, let me make this zoom in, appearance, zoom in, Mac equal, okay? So if I type git status here, it gives me the status, okay? Your branch is behind the origin master by one commit and can be fast forwarded. Oh my God, what the hell does this mean? It has nothing to do with anything what I just said, you think, okay? I said, in my words, how I understand this to work, and then it gives me this type of messages. Okay? What the hell is origin/master? Well, this is a typical name, how you will call your main branch, and what the hell is a branch? Okay? So let's say my code is my code, and I commit it and I push it to the server. Okay? Now this is called the main branch, origin master branch. Why is it called branch? Because I can make like a duplicate of it and work on it independently. So I can branch, make multiple duplications of my code. And I will show you that in a second, okay? So I am behind by one commit. Yes, I am behind by one commit, okay? Because since I pushed my changes and committed my changes, Thomas made one additional one that we saw there. Okay, so, and it can be fast forwarded. Okay, fast forward, you know. It's not a bloody cassette tape player, you know, like fast forward, you know, it's, you know. So I can git pull, basically, I can pull his changes into my code. That's what it tells me. But it also tells me that I have nothing to commit. Working tree clean, my God, working tree. Tree branches, now working tree, the tree which goes around does some work, but it's also clean because it washed its face. What the hell is this language? Okay, but it's important to say, I have no changes. You have nothing that's outstanding to be committed, like snapshot of your changes or pushed to the server. But I can see that here, okay, as well. So AI-Sicha, okay, it's git, because this supports multiple different versions of source control. We are using git, but there are ones like SVN and so on. Okay, I am on the branch master, that origin master, so I am on the main branch, and I can see that I am one behind. So this one arrow down means I'm one behind. Okay, and 0 things to put up. So 1 to pull and 0 to push. So I can see that in this line of text. So this means that I am 27 commits behind Blender. Okay, 63 behind in my admin. So I haven't updated this in a while. So there are people, developers who made changes and changed the code and changed the code 63 times. I didn't touch it. Okay? So if I was to make a change on my admin or any of other applications, it's very wise that I update my code before I start making changes. Because maybe somebody already fixed that, but my code is old, okay? So before you go in and start making changes, it's very useful to pull the latest code in, okay? Once you do that, you're fine. For a few days you're fine, and then you can pull additional changes. It all depends what others are working on, okay? But this number 6 next to that icon, okay, this one here, basically shows me that there are outstanding changes all the time. So if you see this, okay, that doesn't mean there are 6 changes here, 6 changes here, 6 changes here. It means that I changed 6 files. Okay? So these are the files that I have changed in my admin. Okay? So I changed these 6 files. Okay? But I haven't made a commit. Okay? So they are so every time when I change one letter, this Git thing figures out I changed one letter and will put that file on this list. Okay? Immediately. So I can see exactly what files I'm working on, and I have some information of what type of changes I made, which is quite useful. Okay, so the number 6 on that icon means my changes that I haven't committed. These are changes that I'm working on, okay? So this should typically be very low number on your computer, all right? Because you're working on 2, 3, 5 files. You're not changing 5,700 files. If you have 5,700 changes, you're probably doing something completely and utterly wrong. Don't push, don't commit, call for help. Okay? Good so far? If I go here, see there are some folders in a different color, and they have this dot. That's basically where my changes are. So these changes, see, my admin, app, HTTP controllers, backup manager. My app, my admin, app, HTTP, controllers, backup manager. M modified. Okay? What's the modification? Well, is this. I can see this green thing here. Okay, so I added some additional code. And I can see some blue thing here because I modified something already if I deleted it and so on. Okay, so basically this shows you exactly where your current changes are, where you have been doing what you have been doing and so on. So it's easy to find, oh, what was I doing yesterday? Well, it's all bloody highlighted for you. You just need to see the colors and click on them, because I can click on this bloody green thing and it will jump to it. It's that easy. So everything that you are changing, this one keeps track on multiple places, okay? So you can find it in your Explorer, in your repositories and so on. But these are changed. Some files are not monitored. So I need to add them to be monitored, because if I, typically when I init, it knows all the files, but if I add additional folders, new folders and stuff like that, it might not know what to do with them. So they will be also on this list, okay? But there will be like extra visual distinction, and you can see these files and you can just add them because you want to add them, and then you commit all of them, okay? So when they talk about git add dots, that adds all the files which are in staging area, which is kind of area, but I made a change, but this one doesn't know do I include that file in commit or not, okay? So I can add them individually. Funny thing is that here I have even this button which is undo. So if I want to revert my changes to the previous commit, so all this stuff that I put in a green, here and here, if I press this button, it will revert to the previous version. If I want to go a few versions before, I can do that, but slightly more complex, okay? So this is a button, I think, to add, stage changes, discard changes, open file, of course, so I can just click on it, and modify, you updated, deleted, and whatever else. So it gives you these little letters so you can see what's the type of change. Another thing is that there are some files that you don't want to commit. Now the file that I don't want to commit, for example, will be this file here, okay? Now this file has my password, okay, of my database. This is not your password or their password, this is my password. Okay? So if I commit this, okay, and you pull this code, it's not going to work anymore because you just replaced your password, which was nice and correct, with my password. And it's not going to work anymore, okay? So of course, it makes no sense to push and pull some files which are like this. So let's say I upload on my computer some images, okay? So picture of myself. And I create, I don't know, profile for me as a user on my computer. On the server or Julia's computer, she doesn't have that. She doesn't have me as a user because I wasn't on her computer uploading picture. I uploaded picture on my computer. So this picture file is specific to the me as a user, okay? So I shouldn't push to everybody my picture files, okay? So personal stuff should be ignored. So for this, we use file that we call .gitignore, and in this file we list stuff that we want to ignore. We can say specific file like .env, or specific folder or group of folders, whatever you want to ignore, you can ignore, all right? And this will be ignored, so any changes on your computer that you make in these folders will be ignored, so those files will never leave your computer. That's how it's supposed to be, okay? So if it's on gitignore, it's not going to be tracked, highlighted as a change or anything like that. But that file will be dark gray on your list, so it will show you that this is ignored file. So this public backups, so public, well, I don't even have a folder backups, but if a backup was created here of my data or something like that, it would appear as a gray file and it would be ignored. Any questions so far? Okay, so if I want to commit something, I have to put the message. So this is a terminal line, how do I commit? But let me do that right now. Let me make a change in AI-Siha application. And I forgot which one I wanted to do, so let me check this. Okay, so this is add suggestion blade. All right. So I want to make a change in AI-Siha, resources, views, add suggestion blade, okay? And what I want to do is change the color of this page. Okay, so I want to change the color of this page. Add suggestion. Okay, let's say I want to make it green. All right, so where is that? I think I undo something here. Command Z. Okay, that's good. So add suggestion. Blade. I want to make page green. Okay. So I asked earlier Thomas to make the page red. Okay. So what he did, he added style background red to the page. Okay. So I'm going to literally copy this code because I want to show you something. So 32. So here. Okay. But I want green. Okay. So if my computer still works. Okay, AI Siha, suggestions, add suggestion. Okay, so you can see my little green thing. Okay, so it has that background in green. All right. So I made a change on my computer. Brilliant, thank you very much. See what happened immediately, this turned yellow, so it's modified, it shows me where I modified it immediately, and this number went from 6 to 7, and now I have changes in AI Siha, and this is the file that I changed, and I can see what it is. Okay, so on line 32, you know, let me just close this and move this here. So I see exactly what the change is happened, so I added that there. Okay, very useful. Brilliant. I'm happy with my page, it looks brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'm so happy that I decided to do something amazing, make a push. Okay, because I saved my credentials and stuff like that, it will not ask me for it. So, and I'm here. Okay, this is AI Siha, it's not Blender, it's not my admin. Okay, and I think I could have done that, yeah. So I need to enter a message, all right, and this message, as I say, has to be descriptive. So I said change one box on add suggestion. No. To green. Okay, it's not very specific, it's not very good, but okay. This icon here says commit. So if I press this, what's going to happen? Save my change on my local machine. So basically nothing is going to happen except save those changes on local machine. Okay, but see what happened. It actually doesn't say 7 anymore, it's 6. Okay, and this one doesn't have it anymore. It's not orange, it's not highlighted, okay, because now this is committed. Okay, so now this is a new snapshot where everything is clear. So any changes that I make now will of course be okay. So let's say I put here where it says input name text, I put hello guys. Okay, and if I see again it's orange, immediately I go here, there is a change to that same file. Okay, and if I refresh this page, it says hello guys there. All right, so I made another change. I can make a commit, entered, added hello guys test text. Okay. Okay, but before I make a commit, look at those numbers. Okay, they also changed. Before I had 1 to pull, 0 to push. but when I made a commit, I have one to push to the server. Still have one to pull. Okay. Now I'm going to make this change. Okay, I'm going to commit this, and this number will go to 2. Okay. So no more changes. I'm happy with my perfect code. It's brilliant. Never seen anything like this in your life. Okay. So do I pull the changes first, or do I push my changes? What do I do first? That's a good question. Well, let me try pushing my changes. So if I click on these 3 dots, I have push and pull, okay, and I have all the other commands, but what I want to push my changes. Okay, I don't care what Thomas did. I just want my changes over there to go to the world. Okay, push. Can't push. Can't push refs. What are the refs? Okay. Again, bad language, not very clear. Try running pull. I can show the git log and I can show the command outline, which will print it here in my console, which is fine. But I know what I need to do. I need to pull the changes before I can make my changes. Okay.
But now if you pull, then your changes will be replaced with Tom.
Julia is saying if I pull, my changes will be replaced by Thomas's changes. No, that's completely opposite of what the whole idea of version control is. Okay, because I don't want his changes to override mine, or I don't want my changes to override his. Okay. So let's see what happens when I click pull. Okay, so I'm pulling this one change. Boom. There are merge conflicts. Aha. I deliberately asked Thomas to make this change, and then I made exactly the same change. Okay? Because this is sometimes that can happen, that 2 developers independently from each other work on the same file, and then they both make changes. Okay, so we both had the same starting point, but he changed this file to have a background red, and I changed this file to be background green. Okay, but I also had that change that hello thingy over there. Okay, so where's the hello thingy? Okay, so hello thingy is here. Okay, hello guys. See, there's no problem with that one. So, because Thomas didn't change that line of code, there is no clash. It's just going to accept what I typed there. But the problem of this git conflict here is that red is incoming change. And it's 36E70, you have to remember this number, okay? I'll ask questions on Thursday about this number, okay? So please make sure you remember this number. Okay? Again, for me, it was very hard to understand what the hell. I'm like my father, like, oh my God, how can't I copy PDF pictures into Word and then edit them, you know? But when I show you the example, okay, so we know that I typed the word green, okay, and for some reason that's called head. I'm called head, or my changes are called head, or version of my changes is called head, and that's a current change. Well, this is also current change, but it's incoming change. Okay, hold on. It's me and Thomas. Why are you making up all these words for no reason, just to confuse me? So I can accept, press this button, accept the current change. So basically what it's going to do, this is a button, by the way, very useful. So if I press this button, it will make background green. It will delete Thomas's change, it will override it with my change. If I accept incoming change, this is coming from the server, in this case is Thomas. So what it's going to do, it's going to disregard my green version and it's going to accept Thomas's red version. If I accept both changes, it's going to keep both of these divs here. Okay, which is obviously the worst case in this case because we just duplicate the div for no reason and assign two different color values to it. Okay, compare changes, I can go into deep comparison if they are complex files. Okay, but obviously I have clear idea what is the conflict here. All right, so that's brilliant. I know what's the conflict, I know everything, but which one do I choose? Well, this is a common sense, okay? Because I need to call Thomas. First, why are you making changes on the file that I want to make change? Okay? If we have tasks and working on the same project, you should work on one set of features with one files, and I should work on these ones. And they will never clash. Why are you touching my file? Okay? So.
Sometimes this web PHP, for example, we can work on it.
Exactly. So sometimes we have to work on the same, like web roots, web PHP. That's a beautiful example. Thank you. So sometimes it has to happen. Okay, but I can't just delete stuff from Thomas because it might be very important. I can't delete his roots. I can't delete mine. And if I'm not sure, which is probably the case, what you said, call Thomas, discuss this with him, okay? I just want this to go away, okay? And you can click on one of the buttons and it goes away, it doesn't complain, okay? So let's say I said, oh my God, Thomas was right, yes, the customer said he wants it red, I thought he said green, but so I want to accept his changes, okay? So in this case, that's incoming changes. So when I click this, you can see the error is gone and it says background red, okay? So I fixed it, okay? But now, I made additional change on my computer. This file has changed again, okay? Because I merged Thomas's version and my version. Because see, somewhere down there, it still says hello guys. So it really merged the two versions of the code. So one which comes from repository, which is on Thomas's computer, and so. Okay, so basically what I need to do is make another commit of this file. It's just called, it tells me that this is a merge and I can check what it is. And I can say, okay, committed, it's merging this thing, all right, fine. There are no changes to commit. Okay, so can I pull, push? But what do I want to do? Pull, doesn't allow me to pull. I go to push, can't push. Try running pull. Push, sorry. Pull, I can't pull. Commit, I can't commit. What the hell? You remember this diagram that I showed you before? Yeah, when they explained this to me with this diagram, I was like, yeah, this is easy, just version 1, version 2, version 3, I'm like, yeah, but when I go to the real world, nobody draws me these lovely little color balls. It's not working. It's not doing stuff for me. So what am I doing wrong? Let's have a 3-4 minutes break, and then I have some questions. And Thomas said, obviously you chose mine. Oh, he's cheeky. So what do I want if oh my God, I should have chosen mine. What do I do now? Okay, let's have a few minute break, guys, and then I would like to see how do I fix this, okay? So if you have an idea, put it in the chat, and what will happen after, yeah. So I'll answer some of those questions as well.
Oh, I mean, if you just ask, I don't mind, honestly. What? Julia, I think you ran Carolyn's Hesher on your phone. Okay. Because this is weird, because I think I know what the issue is. But just create a fake account. Aha, it's back. Why does it do this? Okay, no baba. Thank you. Okay. No baba? Benny, thanks. Thank you. I have a question about this. Because I'm already on the login and I'm already seeing some issues.
Okay.
So like everything shrinks here, which is
Yeah.
different than like the issue we had.
So you need to report this if it's not reported already. You need to take a screenshot and make a report, because that's a bug that needs to be fixed.
Okay.
Okay, guys, let's move on. All right, guys, we are back. Let me just read some of your comments. What you said, okay. What happens when I pull after 2 people push their code? Nothing. You just get updates from everybody who pulled their code. And I can show you that on one of these where I'm 25 behind, so 25 people made the changes, so it updates multiple files, okay? If I pull before I push my changes, I will lose all changes that I have made. No, okay? If I pull after 2 people push their codes, you'll get the latest pushed, the newer. Yeah, always you get the newer when you pull. Okay. Stage your local changes before the pulling. Stage. Again, this word stage. Stage means add all the files that you can commit, okay? If he make changes on old version and then get a new version, will he need to do changes again? No. Okay. So I don't need to make changes. It doesn't override anything as soon as I showed you, but if there is a conflict, then it will highlight it and ask you what you want to do. Where can you see all your commits? That's a good question. Okay, it's in commits. I'll show you that on the screen in a second. Obviously choose my. You can fix this by deleting the folder, cloning repository again. Yeah, well, just delete Windows, delete Linux, you know, throw your computer in a bin and just buy a new one as well, you know. If the first person who made the original changes wanted his original changes to be main, can the original person re-push his changes or are they lost? No changes are ever lost, okay? The whole point is that not a single change is lost, okay? Main, I guess you mean the main branch, the only branch that we have here. So it always has the most up-to-date version, and your changes can be overwritten if somebody makes a change to the code. Yeah, you can go back to previous commit, you know, you can check the history and so on. So let me show you these few things, okay? Oh, and I need to move my picture here, okay, because you need to see this, which says file history, commits, branches, remotes. It gives you basically all the information. So if I see commits, well, I'm now on my admin, sorry, AI Siha, you know, reload. So I should be able to see all the commits that I have done there. AI Siha, okay? So what's with this file, okay? So this file, open file, stage changes, okay? So this file is kind of like now fallen out of my commits, so I can't commit it, so I need to stage changes. So now that I made correction, I click this plus button, okay, and now these changes are saved, and then I can commit. Okay, so right now I have 3 commits. Okay, so my first commit is my changing the thing to green. My second commit is adding this word hello guys or whatever I put. And my third commit is merging these changes and making it up, you know. But see, what it did now is 0 pulls. So it already updated my code, okay? Because I did pull, which I have to do first. Then, if there are any issues, I have to resolve them, and then I can push, okay? So I can do, click here, push. Whoop, done. Okay, it's uploaded to the server, it's already on the server. So as I said, this Git is really fast. So if I go back to the server, okay, and reload this, you will see all the changes, okay? I made one commit 22 minutes ago, then another one 20 minutes ago, and then just now I made another commit, okay? So these are the changes. And if I click diff, I can see exactly what the changes are. So you can see that my green is not lost. It is recorded and it is here. Okay? Of course, in my code it says red now because I changed it since then. Okay? So this one, if I click diff, I can see that I added this word hello guys. Okay, fine. And then in this one, the last one, I can see that I replaced green with red because that was the correct, in this example, version. Okay? So now my computer, my local machine has nothing here, 0, 0. If I just say git status, it's going to say nothing, up to date, clean, working tree and all that sort of stuff, which I have no idea why it's called that. Nothing is highlighted, everything is up and running, it's brilliant, okay? But Thomas is now 3 changes behind, or 2. So Thomas is 2 changes behind, but most of you who pulled this AI Siha are probably 3 changes behind, okay?
By not one. Because you push only once, right?
Yeah, but if you did a pull since last week, you are on this version. Okay? So in that case, if you're on this version, you are 4 behind. There are 4 commits since then. And if you push the original one that was done in August, then you will be 5 behind. Okay? So you need to pull the changes in, and then it will change your code, but it will keep track of all the history of those files, and you can see them either here on the website, or you can see them here in the code, what it is. So to answer a question from DJ, you know, if I have 25 changes, pull, boom, done. It's changed all the files in those 25 changes immediately, and so on, okay? Blender, 27 changes. Well, I can even click this button, okay? This is push and pull at the same time, so boom, updates. Brilliant, okay? Any more questions? Okay, so but now I'm like, oh my God, why did I push stupid hello guys? You know, I don't want that on my page, and I don't want my things to be green and red. You know, that page doesn't look good. So if I go to my page and refresh this, it is in red because that's Thomas's update, and it's my guys, hello guys here. But I want to go back. Okay? So what I can do is 2 things. I can find this in the code. Aha, here's that background red, and delete that. Okay? And I can go here and delete this. Okay? But typically it's not that easy. And it doesn't happen 3 minutes after I did the changes. So commits, okay? So I can see commits, not my admin, not my venue, Blender, okay? So I can see what is going on here, and I can see the file history. I can see Edo, Heli guy, Okay, so I can see these changes. I can find the files that I changed recently, okay, or any other file, okay? And see here, I have some commands that I can use. Open file for revision, open changes, copy, etc., you know, so, but, you know, it's easy for me to detect the changes and then decide what do I want to do with this file. But I don't change them here in this view. I do change them here at the end of the day. So I'm not going to show you right now how to go back to the previous version of a single file or previous version of this whole thing, okay, because I have something else to show you. But I'm going to do this manually in this case because there are just two changes and I know exactly where they are, okay. So now I have a new commit to do, okay. So let me just kill these guys, okay. So reverted changes, okay, to silly examples, okay, boom, and then I can do this, so I could have pressed that sync changes button, doesn't matter, and if I refresh this on my screen, it's back to normal. If I go here, refresh this page, I have reverted, okay, and I can see that I deleted this, what I just did, okay? So there's no need for me to overcomplicate things in this such simple example. I can just undo Control Z and be done with it. So if you pull now, you will have one more change, okay? Doesn't matter. Do you still remember the number I told you to remember? You don't? You don't remember the number? Well, those numbers are these numbers, okay? So every version of the code has its number. So that one was something 36C7 something, so this is that number. So every version gets its own unique identifier, okay? So we can choose this identifier to go back to that version if we need to, okay? So that's the identifier which is here, okay? It has that long version and shorter version, which is, enough, 6 digits are enough to make a difference between each one of these, okay? So, what do I want to do? Okay, so here I made some changes and I want to see, because I don't remember, I made these changes ages ago, there's no change here. Clients, I made a change there, okay, and I made some changes here. Ooh, what do? I want to do something with this, but I'm not sure. Should I make changes to this? Was this me joking? Is this really that I want this blue color to be displayed as a red? I don't think so. A YouTube Blade, I think this is me playing some stuff. Web, YouTube example. I don't like any of these changes. These changes were not my real thing. I was just demonstrating stuff, okay? So what I can do is discard these changes, okay? I can discard them individually, okay? Or I can discard all of them, okay? So if I go here, changes, discard all changes, so all my local changes that I played with, I can easily get rid of. Discard 4 or 6 files. This is very silly. It has 4 tracked files, I guess these M's, and these ones I think I added, a new file, okay? So, and this is like default option, discard all 6, okay? So, because I just want to get rid of them, all right? And then I can upload this, so that's lovely, all brilliant, okay? Now, what I want to show you is my admin, all right? So I go to repositories, my admin, okay? And see here, I have multiple branches, okay? So I have branch 3.1, branch 3, branch Slanky, branch master, and so on, okay? So these are copies of the same file, like same whole thing, okay? Whole repository is copied, and then some changes were made to that copy. Okay, so they are very similar at the beginning, they are identical copies, but then they grow apart. Okay? They grow apart. and then eventually I can merge them all together. Okay? So why we do these branches? Okay, why do we do branches? Well, if I'm working on major feature and I still want to push stuff to other developers, but I don't want to corrupt the main branch, which is updated on the server, I will make a separate branch, work on that, test it, maybe push it to the staging server so people can see it, but the main branch is unchanged. Okay, so branches are very useful. Or I can just have two simultaneous copy of the same application. Okay, so how do I switch from one branch to another? How do I make a new branch? Well, it's easy, because if I click on this thing, all right, it gives me all the options. So I can create a new branch, or I can switch to any other branch, and it tells me the version of the code that I will be switching to. All right? And once again, I just clicked on the branch number. So if I click on my ISCHA, which is master, see, there is a branch, phase 1, 2021. Okay? And then there is, these two are same, head and master is the same thing, and master is the same thing, so basically this is the same one 3 times with 3 different names for no reason whatsoever. So I can create a new branch. And if I create a new branch, I need to put some name, of course, what I'm going to call that branch, and then all the changes that I commit and push and pull will just be to that branch. The main one will not change, okay? So easy to create a new branch, but don't overdo it. Okay, it's very easy to create 50,000 new branches, and then merging becomes a nightmare. Okay, so don't overdo it. Okay, so if you want to create a new branch, get permission to create that, because otherwise we will make a mess. Okay. That's that big diagram that I was showing before, all those balls there like in different branches, and so there's a little change here, little change here, you don't know who is changing what, if they didn't make comments proper, and if they didn't name these changes intelligently, I will never figure out what do I choose, okay? So, but I want to change my admin to master. And I click that, and then boom, it's done. Okay, so basically all my code in my admin is now on a completely different thing. Okay, and immediately it doesn't work. Okay, so I'm like, okay, change it to V3. Okay, so I'm changing all the code. So basically it's pulling and pushing, throwing away files, getting files, so there can be one little file difference, but there could be thousands files difference, okay? But again, it's very, very quick. If I go back and refresh this, boom, now it works, okay? Now here's the problem, okay? So it's very easy for me to change from one branch to another, but the problem is the database, okay? Git monitors your code. It doesn't monitor if you change your computer, settings on your computer, files that are not tracked by Git, and if you change the database structure. It doesn't know that you changed the database structure. How the hell will it know that? So yesterday, I think Sam and me were working on something, and we modified one data table in AICHA, okay? we added 3 new columns. And she made a code which will address those 3 columns. And it works perfectly on her computer. She makes a push. And then everybody who's working on a project makes a pull. There is a problem every time when you want to execute her code, it's not going to work. Why? Because it's going to look for columns in the data tables which don't exist on your computer. Okay? And everybody is complaining, oh my God, it doesn't work. What do I do? What did I do wrong? You know, and then they listen to Thomas's advice and they just buy a new computer because, yeah. Okay, so we need to figure out what is going on here. So if you are making changes to the database, you know that this is not going to be updated through the Git. Okay. So what do? I export this changes or export my database, put it as a part of the code, and then commit that, and then notify all my colleagues that the database has been updated. They need to update the data tables. Okay? And I can even put that in a commit message. New data table attached. Okay? So that is what we should do. All right? So if the data table is incorrect, it's not going to work. So if I go to my admin, all right, here is my admin v3 SQL. All right, there's a file, data table for this, my admin version here. I go to this and I say go to master. And then it thinks and thinks and thinks and thinks and boom, 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 and then it's done, okay? And I go to here. Oh, where is that file? My admin database v3, whatever it was called. It's gone, but there is a new one here. My admin master. Because somebody, in this case, was actually good enough to provide us with 2 tables, so one for each branch. So I need to import this table into my database. Okay? And then I can use this. But what if I want to switch back to v3? I need to import this data table and that one, so I need to keep doing this back and forth, okay? And because you are going to use both versions, and you already, some of you tried to upgrade, some of you didn't, and then, you know, so I'm going to show you this, what I would do, okay? So here, my admin, okay, I want to have 2 my admins, okay? So I can have multiple my admin data tables, okay? So let's say I have a client with specific data, I can create additional table, okay? So I will create a new data table, not connection, where do I, okay, here, plus, create database, name will be my admin master, okay? And I click play, and there you go, now I have apparently my admin master, which is empty, okay? So now I need to import, okay, click import SQL, okay, so it asks me where do I look for, and I look for in, what the hell is this, AF, sites, my admin, and my admin master. So select SQL file to import, okay? Okay, so it's success. So if I refresh this, I get this table. Okay, so if you see my admin, The V3 has many more tables, and they are different tables, and this one has less tables, so this is the date. Okay? So now I only need to remember one thing is that my code, the N file, which is this one, where it says my admin, the database is not my admin, use my admin master. Okay? So if I go here and refresh this, it should work. Okay? But it doesn't. There's one more thing that has nothing to do with Git in this case. But it has to do with Git as well. And that's my last topic that I want to talk about. Okay? This is the rule. If we have packages, extension packages, vendor packages, or that npm install, you get that all those JSON, whatever they are called, Java files, Java modules, whatever it's called. We don't push those to the repository. We add them to the git ignore list. Okay? So let me just quickly switch file, open folder, mobile apps. Okay? So, and if I look at this SAP AIC Hub, my node modules, that's the word I was looking for, are on git ignore. I don't push this, okay? They are light gray. Why? Because they are huge, there are thousands of files, and then pretty much they are also very same files. And they have each one of these has its own repository where I can get this version or that version for. Okay, so I don't need these files. This is available publicly to everyone. Okay, so these files I typically and utterly ignore. So every time when you pull the code, it's much smaller, and you update the files on your local machine, which might be slightly different files depending on your configuration. You have node 17, I have 16, you have 15. Might get different files. You're on a Mac, I'm on a PC. I can get slightly different files which are suitable for my machine. So, as a rule, these are not pushed, except file, open recent, site. So in my admin, this vendor, these are those files in PHP, in Laravel, I push them all. Okay, I push them all. So people will say on internet, oh, why are you pushing those files? You shouldn't push those files. Okay, I have my reasons why I push those files. But one of the things why I push all these files is because I want a very strict control of each one of version of these files. I don't want you to run version 3.1 and you install 3.2. No. I want you to run the version that I said. So this is why I push them, okay? So these are trial and tested, they work perfectly, okay, with this version of PHP, a combination and so on. Lots of effort has been put in, so I don't want people to mess up. Second thing, when I make an instance on a server of AppSource, I don't have to install these files manually, they are already there. So AppSource works straight away, it's not missing half of its code, okay? And then some people even delete their repositories, that they are no longer available, and that happened to us a few times. You know, so even if they delete the files, I can't pull them anymore, I solve that problem. You know, I'm not, you know. So there are reasons why I push the vendor files here. Now, what Laravel, of course, doesn't know is that I push these bloody files, you know, and that I made changes. So it has a cache of these files. And these cache files are these packages and services, okay? And they are in Bootstrap, cache, packages, services. And they are on git ignore because they get generated automatically every time when you don't have them, okay? So, because they're on git ignore, I think what happened here, because it's looking for some service provider, okay? And this, oh my God, I clicked on the wrong thing. And this is listing all the service providers, funny enough, okay? So what I assume happened here, I'm not 100% sure, is that this file, because it's not part of the commits, is not updated, okay? So if you get these errors, you can just delete these two files, okay? Because they all get ignored, there's no commit or anything like that. Move to trash, yes, okay? So I don't need that. So Laravel will regenerate them, okay? And hopefully it will work better, okay? So it works better. I got a different error message. View service provider not find, okay? So I can see what's going on there, but see, one thing which is confusing me is like, what's this? Okay? This is something that we added in version 3 and we don't have in master, okay? But these are some local config and log files which always need to be git ignored. See, because now I switched from one version to another and these were not on git ignored, now it thinks there are new files in this version and wants me to commit them, but there's no these files at all. So that's the thing. So I don't know right now what's the error with this package, okay? View service provider not found. I know what the problem is. This is my mistake in this case, because view service provider is something that I added in version 3. Why did I add that? Because in version 3 we have multiple themes. We have Metronic and Vuexi, but we can add additional ones. So this service provider I created in order to figure out in which folder it needs to find the files. So I say, show me users blade, but depending on which theme you are, it's going to find users blade in Vuexi or Metronic and so on. So that's not a normal Laravel feature. But of course, what I didn't think at the time is that this file, if I switch from one branch to another, it might be ignored or not ignored or missing or not missing and so on. So that's something that I need to fix before you can successfully switch from one to another, okay? So I'm not going to fix that right now, but I also see that I need to fix these, my files, I need to add them to the git ignore, because as I said, your logs, my logs, your logs, they're all private logs, we don't need to commit them as such. So what I'm going to do right now is go back to V3. So if you are on master and switch to V3, you will not have this problem. It's only if you go back, then it's going to say, hey, where was that file that now doesn't exist anymore? So if I refresh this page, it doesn't work. Why? I just switched to V3. I know it was working 3 seconds ago. Why does it work and how do I fix it?
then you maybe regenerate with the previous version?
Exactly. So this is this stupid packages. I just need to delete those two files. I don't see the second one, so and it works. So this is something which really annoys me in Laravel, that it has these two files, and when it throws an error, well, why don't you just try to fix it yourself? You know, just delete those two files and try again. You know, regenerate them. It annoys me so much that I will actually probably write some code to do that. All right. So I can fix these few things, you know, but as I say, from you guys to switch from master to V3 to upgrade, it shouldn't be a problem. But you need to create a new data table, import the new database, and edit your end file to point to that database, and then it will work fine. Any questions?
I have one that it's for the commits. So
Yeah?
if you change a lot of files and then you want to clean it up, what do you do? Like you want 3 files to have one commit message and then the other ones.
Everything that is staged will be committed. So you can stage and unstage files. So if you have, let's say, 10 files, but for some reason, I can't imagine what would be that reason, you want to make those 10 files that you change into commits. So let's say first 5, I will have them staged, and last 5 unstaged. And then when you commit, it will only commit the first file, and then stage the second 5, and then you can commit them in different message. Not that it happens often, not that it matters, really, because the end result is the same. You will have all 10 files committed to, but the commit is your local change. When you push, they go to the remote repository. Any other questions? So, any questions on the chat? Nothing is lost, Khalil. I think I replied that. Okay, so let me log into alihaba.nl. So this is not Alihaba, AI Siha login. So this is the real website, okay? I can log in, it's running upsource, brilliant. So this is on the website. I go to my admin, utilities, console, okay? And I get the web console of that server, okay? And I can type ls and all the other commands, okay? So what I want to do is cd AI Siha, okay? And ls, and basically I have the same code that is on my computer. If I type lsla, I have even this hidden Git directory. Ah. And if I type git status, it's up to date, it's something is modified and so on, okay? So basically what I can do here is git commit or git push, but mostly on the servers, if I want my code that I committed and pushed to the repository, now on the server, I will use a terminal and do git pull, okay? And it doesn't work. Why? Because Valentin. So the last person who did this didn't do it exactly properly because they pulled with their name. And now, because Valentin no longer works and we disabled Valentin, okay, it's not going to find them, and it's complaining about that, okay? So what I need to do is change the origin, okay? So, as I say, you have many websites which show you all these options, how to do various things, how to revert on stages changed, how to revert stage changes, how to amend. So all these questions that you ask, you can do easily, okay? How to create a branch, how to delete a branch, how to merge a branch, all the stuff that we talked about. Remote view, that's the one that I'm looking for now, okay? And I go to my thing. Okay, so see, this .git folder is trying to synchronize with this repository. And it has that Valentin, HTTP Valentin, so that's the wrong bit. That's what's confusing it. So I can see what is it configured to do. And what I wanted to do is change this remote repository. Does it say? It doesn't kind of find it, so let me find it. Change remote repository. And I put Git as well. Okay. Git remote set origin. Okay, new URL. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. Paste it here. So now I need to type the new remote, which is for this one, that one. But again, this one is slightly wrong because it has those 8443, so I'm going to change that when I paste it. So this is going to be 8080. And this is HTTP. All right? So if I do that, so what I just did, I switched the repository that it's referring to. Okay, in this case it's the same repository, just the URL was incorrect because it had Valentin's name, but I can actually pull the code and push the code from one to another different repositories, okay? That obviously will have lots of problems if I do that, but in theory, if I don't want to host it, my code here, I want to move everything on the other server for reasons, I can do that. So git pull, oh, so now it's thinking.
Is that changing the branch, the origin?
No. Origin is master, this is the where it's coming from. Okay, I'm changing remote location, okay, what I was doing. I should have done git status just to see, can it see, because that git status that I did before was trying to check on somewhere which doesn't exist. So I assume that there are changes in this AI SIHA since it was last updated. So now I don't know what changes it's doing. Boom, okay. So, oh my God, I'm an idiot. Do you see what I've done? I need more coffee.
But why do we use this console in isiha.com? Why we don't put this just in VS Code? I don't understand.
Okay, I'll explain that, but what did I do wrong? No comments on this.
We tried to most different.
So she's asking me why can't I use VS Code on the server because I don't have a graphics interface. I don't have Visual Studio Code. I don't need it there. This is just a server. It's just running Apache, MySQL, and PHP. There's no other software. There's no Skype. There's no VS Code. There's no software installed. This is just a server. So I only can work through the console. Okay, and that's why I have to use the console. But I made a mistake. Okay, and the mistake is, see what was the old URL that it was trying to access, and see what the change I made to the new URL. Do you see it? It used to connect to a SIHA GET, but for some reason, because that was the one which was open, I put my admin. So I'm telling it to pull the admin code instead of a SIHA code. And then it was tried, and that's why it took so long, because it was like, what the hell are you on about? Do you want Slanky? Do you want Wexy? Do you want version 3? You know, I am completely confused. So it threw a fatal error because I was an idiot to say, let me check. So this is, because I was in my admin repository, I wasn't in AI SIHA, which is Apsos projects AI-SIHA.git. So, Okay, git status. Oh my God, so I confused it completely. So now I have 925 git pull, okay? All right, so now I updated, and you can see that version that was running was 7.16 of AI SIHA. 7.16 was this one, okay? And now I updated to where it is version 9D85, which is the latest one, okay? So now the server is up to date. So if I go to my server, I have these new files, other suggestions and so on. I didn't have these features before, so now I have them. So if I go to a SIHA, this dashboard is not going to work because that's an old thing which I half fixed. So okay, suggestions. Here it is. What's the problem now? Database, yes. What about the database?
Well, you don't have the table.
I don't have the table yet, so yeah, I changed it on my computer. I made a new table, but I didn't update the table on the server. So of course the server doesn't know. That's what I was talking about earlier, okay? So the tables, we also have to update. And Laravel has a great way of doing that, by the way. So we can cover it one of the next sessions. But I also know how to do it manually, so I can export table, import, etc., and make it work that way. 6 o'clock, I think we covered pretty much everything. Any last questions? Nope. Good. So everybody has their tasks. So on Thursday, we'll see who are we going to have as a group of people. Maybe we'll have all of you if everybody finished, which I doubt. Maybe we'll have half of you, so as I say, I don't expect you to finish all your tasks, that every single one of you is finished. But I again want to see how you think, what the issues are, what the problems are. So you're going to share your screen one more time and then tell me, this is your task and so on. So we have those tasks. Please, have a proper goal, but I don't expect all the tasks to be finished. I also don't expect PowerPoint presentations, Luana. I want to see code. So it's cool. And Mernaz, just stick to your task. Don't do everything else. She was already asked me to create some 600 pages. So, yeah. If you don't understand your task, you still have time to clarify. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for listening. I hope it was useful. So when you finish your task on Thursday, you can push it, and then we can pull it here, and then we can see, everybody can enjoy the fruits of your labor. But for now, take care, bye-bye.
I have a question.
Yes?
Is it normal this is still loading?